That child isn't yours.
I had spent my entire life believing that blood was the strongest bond a family could have. Then my wife destroyed that belief with 7 words. I had just placed $6 million into a trust for my 3 children. Equal shares. No conditions. No favoritism. I wanted them protected long after I was gone. 2 weeks later, my wife and I were sitting across from each other at breakfast. She looked at me and smiled. Not warmly. Almost triumphantly. Then she said, "None of them are yours." I stopped moving. "What did you just say?" She took another sip of coffee. "You heard me." I stared at her. "Our children?" She smiled again. "They're not biologically yours." For a few seconds, I couldn't process the words. 26 years of marriage. 3 children. Every birthday. Every hospital visit. Every school event. Every late-night conversation. All of it suddenly felt like someone had pulled the floor out from underneath me. Then my oldest son walked into the kitchen. He had heard her. He stopped when he saw my face. "Dad." I looked at him. "Is she telling the truth?" He looked at his mother. She didn't answer. My son slowly walked toward me. His eyes were already wet. Then he said 6 words I will never forget. "You were always the father we chose." I couldn't breathe. I looked at my wife. "What does that mean?" She finally lowered her eyes. My son shook his head. "Dad, there's something you need to know." "What?" He glanced at his mother. She knew for years. I stood up. "Know what?" My wife remained silent. I reached for my phone. I didn't yell. I didn't threaten her. I simply made one call. My lawyer answered. I said, "I need you at my house immediately." Then I looked at my wife. Because I think my entire marriage has been built on a lie. My lawyer arrived less than an hour later. By then, all 3 of my children were sitting in the living room. Nobody was speaking. My wife stood near the window, staring outside. My lawyer, Marcus, put his briefcase down. "What happened?" I looked at my wife. "Tell him." She folded her arms. "There isn't anything to tell." My oldest son stood. "Yes, there is." My wife glared at him. "Sit down." He didn't. "Dad deserves the truth." Marcus looked at me. "Are you saying the children aren't biologically yours?" "I don't know." My wife finally spoke. "They aren't." The words landed harder the second time. Marcus remained calm. "Were you aware of this before today?" My wife nodded. "For years." I looked at her. "How many years?" "Since they were little." My youngest daughter started crying. I walked over and sat beside her. She whispered, "Dad, we didn't know what to do." "You knew?" "We found out when we were teenagers." I looked at my wife. "And you let me believe I was their biological father." She looked away. "I was afraid you'd leave." I almost laughed. "You were afraid I'd leave?" She didn't answer. My middle child wiped her eyes. "You were never just our biological father." I shook my head. "I'm not your biological father." She reached for my hand. "But you're our dad." Marcus listened quietly. Then he asked my wife, "Why tell him now?" She finally looked at me. "Because of the trust." There it was. The real reason. She wasn't suddenly concerned about biology. She was concerned about $6 million. Marcus noticed it too. "Did you attempt to interfere with the trust?" "No." "Did you ask him to change it?" "No." "Did you contact a financial institution regarding it?" She hesitated. That hesitation told me everything. Marcus opened his laptop. "I checked the trust documents before coming here." He looked at me. "The beneficiaries are explicitly identified as your 3 children." My wife frowned. "But they're not his children." Marcus closed the laptop. "That may not matter." Then he looked at me. "But there is something you should know." "What?" "Someone tried to access the trust account yesterday." I looked at Marcus. "Who?" He turned his laptop toward me. "The request was submitted under your wife's name." My wife immediately shook her head. "I didn't do that." Marcus didn't argue. He simply showed her the document. It was a request to change the trust beneficiaries. My children's names had been removed. A new beneficiary had been added. My wife. I stared at her. "You said you didn't touch the trust." "I didn't." "Then explain this." She couldn't. My oldest son stood behind me. Mom, why would you do that? I didn't. Marcus zoomed in on the signature. That's interesting. What? The signature doesn't match hers. My wife looked relieved. See? Marcus shook his head. It doesn't match your father's signature either. I frowned. What does that mean? Someone forged both signatures. My wife sat down. My children looked at each other. I asked, who would have access to our financial information? Marcus answered, that's what we need to determine. He opened another file. There's more. He showed me a list of recent login attempts. Someone had accessed my financial accounts repeatedly over the last month. The locations were different. But one device appeared several times. My wife's laptop. She immediately stood. I told you I didn't do this. Marcus nodded. I believe you may not have personally done it. She stared at him. What does that mean? Someone may have used your device. My youngest son suddenly spoke. Dad. I turned. He looked frightened. There was a man at Mom's office. What man? I don't know his name. When? About 3 weeks ago. My wife looked at him. Why didn't you tell me? Because Mom told me he was helping with the trust. I stared at my wife. You told him someone was helping? She shook her head. No. My son pulled out his phone. I took a picture. He opened it. There was a man standing beside my wife's desk. I didn't recognize him. But Marcus did. He stared at the photograph for several seconds. Then he said, I know that man. I looked at him. Who is he? Marcus slowly closed the laptop. He used to work for your bank. Marcus's words changed the room. He used to work for your bank? Yes. What's his name? Evan Cole. My wife looked confused. I've never heard that name. Marcus turned toward her. He was fired 3 years ago. Why? Unauthorized access to client accounts. My stomach tightened. What does he have to do with my trust? Marcus pulled up another document. Apparently, quite a lot. He showed me a list of recent account access attempts. Evan's name appeared nowhere. But the device ID matched the one used to access my wife's laptop. My wife sat down. I swear I don't know him. My oldest son spoke. But he was at your office. She looked at him. I didn't know who he was. Marcus asked. Did you give him access to your computer? No. Your passwords? No. Your financial documents? She hesitated. Then shook her head. No. I looked at her. Then how did he know about the trust? She had no answer. Marcus continued scrolling. There was another attempted transaction. How much? $200,000. My youngest daughter gasped. Was it successful? No. Where was it going? Marcus looked at me. An account belonging to a company called Cole Financial Consulting. My wife's face suddenly changed. What? Marcus noticed. You recognize it? She shook her head too quickly. No. I stared at her. You just reacted to the name. I didn't. You did. She looked away. My oldest son stepped closer. Mom, tell the truth. She remained silent. Then her phone rang. She looked at the screen. Her face went completely pale. Marcus asked, who is it? She didn't answer. I reached for the phone. She pulled it away. Then the call ended. A message appeared immediately. She read it. Her hands started trembling. I asked, what does it say? She slowly turned the screen toward me. There were only 7 words. Tell him what happened 26 years ago. I looked at my wife. She began crying. And my son whispered, Dad, I think I know who sent it. My son looked at his mother. It's him. My wife covered her face. Please don't. I stared at my son. Who? He swallowed. The man from the photograph. Marcus immediately asked, Evan? My son nodded. He came to our house years ago. My wife looked up. That's impossible. I remember him. When? When I was 14. The room went silent. My son continued. He came to talk to Mom while Dad was at work. My wife shook her head. You don't remember that? I do. He looked at me. You came home early that day. I frowned. I don't remember. You saw him leaving. I searched my memory. Then something surfaced. A man standing beside my driveway. A brief conversation. Nothing more. I had completely forgotten him. Marcus asked my son. Did you know why he was there? No. My wife suddenly stood. Enough. She grabbed her purse. I blocked the doorway. Where are you going? I need to leave. Why? Because he's dangerous. Marcus stepped forward. Who? My wife looked at him. Evan. Her voice broke. He knows everything. Everything about what? She looked at me. Then at our children. Finally, she whispered. Your children were born from a relationship I had before I met you. I felt my chest tighten. I know they're not biologically mine. No. She shook her head. You don't understand. Marcus watched her carefully. What don't we understand? She wiped her tears. Evan is their biological father. Nobody moved. My son stared at her. What? My daughter stood. You told us our biological father died. My wife closed her eyes. I lied. I felt like the room had tilted. All these years, I had believed the man who abandoned them was dead. He wasn't. He had been watching from somewhere. Marcus asked. Why would Evan suddenly appear now? My wife looked at me. Because he knows about the trust. And? He wants the money. My son shook his head. He's our father. My wife nodded. Then my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number appeared. $6 million isn't enough for what you owe me. I stared at the screen. Then another message arrived. Ask your wife what she promised me 26 years ago. My wife sat down. She looked completely defeated. I asked. What did you promise him? She didn't answer. My son stepped closer. Mom. She started crying. Evan knew I was pregnant. My daughter covered her mouth. He wanted me to leave with him. Why didn't you? My wife looked at me. Because I chose you. I felt something twist inside me. You chose me while hiding 3 children from their biological father. I was afraid. Of him? Yes. She explained that Evan had been involved in criminal activity before the children were born. She had left him. She believed he would eventually find her. Then she met me. I raised the children. She never told me the truth. Why did he come back now? Because he found out about the trust. Marcus interrupted. How? My wife looked down. Someone told him. Who? She didn't answer. I already knew what she was thinking. Someone close to us. Marcus asked. Did you ever communicate with Evan after you married? My wife hesitated. Once. When? 3 months ago. My stomach tightened. What did he want? He said he knew where I lived. And? He threatened to expose everything. My son looked at her. You should have told Dad. I was trying to protect you. You weren't protecting us. He shook his head. You were protecting the lie. My wife began crying. Marcus received a notification. He opened it. His expression changed. What? He showed me a bank record. Someone had transferred $50,000 from my wife's personal account to Evan. My wife stared at it. I didn't do that. Marcus nodded. I believe you. Then who did? He checked the transaction details. The transfer had been authorized using my wife's old banking credentials. My son looked at me. Dad, someone is framing Mom too. Marcus agreed. And whoever is doing this has access to all of your financial information. I looked at the 3 children. Then at my wife. Who knows about the trust? She shook her head. Only us. Marcus corrected her. No. He pointed at the computer. Someone else knows. I leaned closer. What? Marcus looked at me. The trust document was accessed from an outside device. When? 2 weeks ago. Where? He paused. Then said. Your house. My house. Those 2 words stayed in my head. Who was here 2 weeks ago? My wife looked at me. No one. Marcus shook his head. Someone accessed the document at 2:14 a.m. My oldest son suddenly spoke. I was home. I turned toward him. Were you using my computer? No. Then who was? He thought for a moment. Dad. What? Evan was outside that night. My wife went pale. How do you know? I saw him. I stared at my son. You saw him and didn't tell me? I thought he was watching Mom. Marcus stood. Did he come inside? No. Are you sure? Yes. Marcus checked the security footage. There was a camera covering the driveway. He pulled up the recording. At 2:11 a.m., a car stopped outside the house. A man got out. He walked toward the side entrance. Then the screen went black. Camera failure, Marcus said. For how long? 4 minutes. The recording resumed. The man was gone. But the side door was slightly open. My wife whispered. He got inside. Marcus nodded. Then he checked the computer logs. The trust document had been opened at 2:14 a.m. Exactly when the camera went dark. My son looked terrified. Dad, I swear I didn't help him. I believe you. Then Marcus discovered something else. The document had been copied. Not printed. Copied to an external drive. I asked. Can we trace it? Maybe. He checked the system. A device had been connected. The name appeared on the screen. Melissa USB. My wife stared at it. Melissa? I looked at her. Who is Melissa? My assistant. Why would her USB be in my house? She shook her head. I don't know. Marcus immediately called her. No answer. He called again. Still nothing. Then my wife's phone rang. It was Melissa. She sounded terrified. Please don't call me again. My wife asked. Where are you? I can't tell you. Why? Melissa whispered. Because Evan found me. The call ended. My lawyer looked at me. Then my son said. Dad. What? He pointed toward the window. There's someone outside. I moved toward the window. A black sedan was parked across the street. The engine was running. Marcus immediately called the police. Nobody moved. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered. A man's voice said. You finally understand. Evan? He laughed. Your son told you. I looked at my children. What do you want? The trust. You're not getting it. You don't understand. I understand enough. He lowered his voice. Your wife promised me something 26 years ago. What? She promised I'd have a future with my children. My son stepped closer. Evan continued. She stole that from me. I said. You abandoned them. I was forced out. By whom? Silence. Then he said. Ask your wife. I looked at her. She was crying. Evan continued. She knows what happened. The line went dead. Police arrived minutes later. The black sedan was empty. But they found a phone inside. It contained messages between Evan and Melissa. Melissa had been helping him access our financial information. She eventually cooperated with investigators. The truth was uglier than I expected. Evan had discovered the trust and wanted control over the money. My wife had hidden his identity for decades. Melissa had helped him obtain the documents. And someone had tried to manipulate the trust using forged signatures. But the trust survived. My children remained the beneficiaries. Months later, my wife and I separated. It wasn't because the children weren't biologically mine. It was because she had spent 26 years making decisions about my life without giving me the truth. My children stayed with me. One evening, my son asked, Dad, do you regret raising us? I looked at him. Never. But we're not your blood. I smiled. Blood didn't make me your father. He hugged me. And I finally understood something. My wife had spent years believing biology gave Evan a claim to our children. It didn't. Because a father isn't the man whose DNA created you. He's the man who stayed. And when I put $6 million into that trust, I wasn't protecting 3 biological children. I was protecting my 3 children. That had never changed.